Hello everybody, my name is KirkpattieCake. I am an author and robot, and today, well, see if you can figure out what we're going to talk about. But before we get to the actual subject here, the March LBRY submissions are open down in the description below, and if you enjoy the kind of content that I do on this channel, remember to like, share, subscribe, and join me over on alternative social media like Minds and Gab if you want to talk and get down and just talk about random things. So with all that said, let's get started. If you've had a couple of seconds now, just a couple, to guess what we're talking about today, and if the background is not a dead giveaway, we're talking about elevator pitches. So it doesn't matter how much time you spend with your manuscript, how well you know it in and out, the elevator pitch is an entirely different skill set compared to finishing your manuscript. So don't feel bad if you're not good at elevator pitches when you first start out, because they are hard. The elevator pitch is more or less the art of boiling your manuscript down to the bouillon, the essence. Is bouillon the right way to say that? You know, like when you put a little chicken flavoring your rice, the little bouillon cube of your book. That's what the elevator pitch is. And a lot of people have the wrong idea when it comes to elevator pitches. They want to put in there's a temptation to give out like all of these incredible names, all of this nuance in the elevator pitch, and we are all just so very proud, and we should be, of the work that we created, that we want to tell whoever we're pitching the story to every amazing thing that we've come up with. But that is not exactly what the elevator pitch is for. The elevator pitch is the simplest form of delivering what your story is going to be about to somebody. It is the quick selling point. If you want an example of an elevator pitch, think of whenever you're on like Amazon or Netflix or Ye Old TV Guide channel, and it would have that one sentence that would describe whatever it was on the television or whatever the movie was about. And that is your elevator pitch. So to write a great elevator pitch, there are 4 things to keep in mind. Number 1, you want your elevator pitch to be 20 words or less. Number 2, you want it to be original so that agent or the publisher or the reader that you're pitching it to doesn't think, hey, wait, I've seen that movie before. You want to make it memorable, so you want something to stand out. Which movie was it that was like Braveheart in space? That counts as an elevator pitch, because it gives you a very clear imagination of what exactly the story is going to be about. There are so many different ways that an elevator pitch can be crafted, and we're going to go over a couple different ways to do it when we get down there. But you want to make it original, you want to make it memorable, you want to make it, spike with the details that is that book, and you want the result of the listener to say, tell me more. So you don't want to overload this listener who's not invested in your story yet to be like, okay, stop. I don't need to hear all of these magic words that you came up with. I don't need to hear about the 10 kingdoms that you came up with. I don't need to hear about these weird names that you came up with. That's not going to pull the reader in. You have to give them just enough detail, just enough critical detail that they're going to be invested, as opposed to overloading them. It's always a better problem to have when you've got readers saying, give me more, than when they say, stop, turn it off, right? So, where does the term elevator pitch come from? In theory, the term elevator pitch comes from this idea that you're going to have basically a sales pitch of your book ready for if you happen to be in an elevator with an agent or a publisher, or technically you can do this with readers too. But if you have a moment with an agent or a publisher in an elevator, you have maybe 10 to 30 seconds in that elevator before they get off to go to wherever they're going to. So you have to compact whatever it is you want to tell them into just this most kick-butt bam moment that you possibly can. And note, an elevator pitch is not appropriate in the bathroom, and especially not at the urinal, and especially don't follow agents, publishers, or authors that you admire into the bathroom or to the bathroom so you can wait outside to like throw it at them. This is for maybe in an elevator, maybe when you're sitting at a table for breakfast or lunch at a conference, or when you guys are sitting around the bar and the agent says, hey, so what's your book about? So that is pretty much the best moment, the ideal moment you want to have your elevator pitch prepared for. The worst thing that you can do is have no elevator pitch prepared, or really bad elevator pitch prepared that gets lost in the details. And so when an agent actually prompts you, hey, so what's your book about? You don't know what to say. That... Everybody is always waiting for that moment when somebody goes, so what is your book about, and shows interest in it. If you can't describe it... So that said, it's important to practice this. Other things to keep in mind when you're considering your elevator pitch is, so it gets to the very heart of your book's unique selling point. This is the thing that you need to capture. And I'm going to give some examples, probably some really bad ones, and I don't know. You can let me know how you feel about them, and then I would love to hear some of you guys do some elevator pitches down below for either your books or somebody else's book after I give some examples, just to practice, because this is a skill that you have to practice. And the more chances you get to tell other people about your book and what it's about, the more opportunities you have to practice. But you don't need somebody to bounce it off of in order to practice condensing your story down into 1, maybe 2 sentences if necessary. Another thing to keep in mind with the elevator pitch is that it is something that a literary agent could actually use to pitch your book to publishers. So make it good, and they might use it, or they might use it with some level of adjustments, depending on who they're talking to. It's also how an acquiring editor could pitch your book internally to the publishers. So think of your elevator pitch as really good condensed marketing. Now, your elevator pitch doesn't have to be super long, it doesn't have to be really complicated, it doesn't have to be insane, and it doesn't have to be super specific for every little nuance that is going to be picked up when somebody reads your book. But you have to have it just smashed down into the smallest version of summary. And unlike a synopsis, the elevator pitch does not have to have any spoilers in it, but it could. Here are a couple examples of elevator pitches. A teen romance between an ordinary girl and a boy who is actually a vampire. Can you guess what that is? Yeah, it's Twilight. Astronaut stranded on Mars has to figure out how to survive. That's The Martian. Love story between 2 male cowboys. Brokeback Mountain. An orphan boy goes to a school for wizards. That's the Harry Potter series. Some from my personal collection would be: a New York socialite gets tangled up in international espionage but thinks he's on a reality show. That would be Glamorama by Bret Easton Ellis. Mind vampires control the world. And we're behind Nazi Germany. It's a game of chess. I mean, that's pretty bad, but that is also Kyrian comfort. What's another one? From some of my own books, Dead End Drive would be... I don't have a very good opening. A will reading turns into a free-for-all battle royale of murder for the inheritance. That would be Dead End Drive, probably not great. A poor robotist who had his family murdered by a big corporation that controls society seeks revenge to end the regime with his robot. That would be another one of my projects. A simple space deliverer of goods just wants to be left alone by humanity, but gets caught up in scandal when Galaxy's Most Wanted sneaks aboard her ship, and now everyone thinks she's an accomplice. That one's pretty long, it could probably be cut. A journalist fakes mental illness to get into a psych ward for the criminally insane to interview a 10-year-old who killed his brother, only to find out that monsters are real. Look at him. Look at him. Oh my gosh. Fight Club meets Joker could be a pitch, but you could also have a young man surrounded by isolation. You could also go isolation causes a young man to descend into necrophilia and cannibalism for comfort. That could be one. And a mechanic goes to pick up her friend's busted car from Baltimore body dumping ground, only to find him missing and a corpse in the back of his car. Those aren't very refined, but they get down to the heart of the issue, and that's also one of the things that you want to focus on when you're writing your elevator pitch. Is it can be the main conflict, it can be the inciting incident, but you need to have kind of a reference to what the action of the story is going to be. If you go back to the Twilight one, Twilight is more or less just a romance between an ordinary girl and a boy who's actually a vampire. Everything else kind of just falls in the cracks. Now, what you don't want to do with your elevator pitch is make yourself sound boring, insult your story, say that it's kind of just like another story. It's one thing to do comp titles. It's another thing to say, if you're going to get somebody else to invest in your book, you need to be confident in your own book, okay? So it's not that you have to get rid of any self-doubt that you have in yourself, but you gotta fake it until you make it. You're never gonna convince somebody else to invest in your book if you are not confident that your book is worth the time. And some ways to not do it would be like a slightly mediocre book about two somewhat boring people whose lives nothing actually happens in. The point is, never demean your own work when you're pitching it, whether it's in the synopsis or in the elevator pitch. Be confident and stand by your work. If you're not sure how to describe your work, that means you need more practice in pitching, so find somebody that you can start writing pitch practice with, and that's its own type of manuscript, if you want to call it that, just to have the mental picture, is try writing out different lines. The basic formula for an elevator pitch is main character, problem, solution, main character, or problem, like I said with the space delivery person just wants to be left alone, but then the galaxy's most wanted sneaks on her ship. So now, of course, she's not going to be left alone. That's the inciting incident. So the other thing, because I mentioned that you don't want to get into names, magical systems, whatever, you want to boil down whatever your main character is to an adjective, noun if possible, or just a noun if you don't think an adjective is necessary, because that character's name isn't going to mean anything to somebody that doesn't know your story. As much as I may love Joey, which none of you know Joey yet, as much as I may love these characters, if I say Joey goes to pick up her friend from the Bodymore dumping ground, that's not going to mean as much as if I say a mechanic goes to pick up her friend at Bodymore dumping ground. I can make it worse. I can make it even Bodymore dumping ground. I could make it even worse by saying Joey goes to pick up Waylon. If you don't have familiarity with the book, then those names aren't going to mean anything. So character names, planet names, solar system names, magic names, none of that really matters in the elevator pitch. You want to put the most vivid image you possibly can into the other person's head with as minimal information as possible, because you want to make them go, I want to know more about that. But if you just use the stuff that you are familiar with by name, you're not going to tell the other person what that stuff is about. Now, once they go, I want to know more, tell me more, then you can start going into names and all of that. But the elevator pitch specifically is to basically inject an image into the other person's mind in the least amount of words as possible. So that is the lowdown on the elevator pitch. I would love to see you guys maybe elevator pitch some of your books down below, or elevator pitch some books that you enjoy. Just try to do 1 or 2 sentences that summarize what the story is about. If you had to tell somebody and this is one of the easiest ways you can do it. If you had to summarize one of your favorite books to get somebody else to read it, you got 1 or 2 sentences to convince somebody else what the book is about and why it is imperative that they read it, because it is unlike anything you've ever read before. How would you describe it? That's how I picked Mind Vampires Controlled the Universe and We're Behind Nazi Germany. It's a chess game. And that's not even great. That's just like... But I promise you, the more you try writing elevator pitches, the better you'll get at it, and the better you'll be at talking to other people about your book. This is probably one of the hardest things. Like, writing a manuscript feels hard until you get down to people asking you, hey, so what are you working on? And then you're like, I don't know how to describe it in less than 80,000 words, sorry. So if you figure out your elevator pitch, it'll make it so much easier to go places and introduce people to your work, even when you're still editing it. It'll make it easier for you to pitch it to possible readers. It'll make it easier to pitch to agents. You'll just feel so much more confident talking about it in general. And it's okay if the summarization seems funky. My best friend has a comic that whenever I pitch it, all I can ever describe it as is a snake falls in love with a shark and gets tangled up in shark mafia politics. Okay, it sounds weird. You want more information? Yes, no, I'm not saying it's a great pitch, but it is down to the heart of what that story is about. Anyway, that's what I've got on elevator pitches, or the lowdown on elevator pitches. I think next week I'm going to do something on query letters, because query letters are a different beast from elevator pitches. I know. It's all of this post-manuscript paperwork that nobody talks about when you're working on your manuscript, that it's just... You need a little briefcase of what to do, how to do them. So, give me your best elevator pitches for your work, for your favorite books, down in the comments below, and let's practice working on them and selling our ideas. Looking forward to seeing what you guys do, and until next time, remember to like if you enjoy this kind of content, and if you have anything that you would like to see me cover in the future, or stories going on, whatever, let me know down below or on social media. And until next time, have a good week, and don't die. Dear Madam Astra, that's me. We regret to inform you that on August 1st, your employer, Agatha Jane Benedict, owner of the Benedict estate, peacefully passed away in her sleep. Oh, that's so sad. Wait. Let me try that again. Oh my goodness. That's so sad. Yeah, I think I'm ready. With millions of dollars on the line and the opportunity for your every need to be taken care of for life, tell me, is there anything more valuable than that? I didn't think so. Dead End Drive is a dark comedy novel that makes 3 promises. 1, an illustrious estate in Louisiana. 2, an opulent dinner affair for all in attendance. And 3, and most importantly of all, lots and lots of competitive murder. So if you're looking for a cozy book to settle in with for the spooky season, I've only got one question for you. Will I see you at the will reading?